I'm really frightened of not being recorded. Because in October 2022 I discovered my phone to talk to. And it was so soothing, like it was like having a friend. Really calmed me down, and I felt so silly talking to the camera, but I realised that it had the effect of making me feel better. Like I had a friend, and that's how I've used it ever since. And I don't want to kind of do any exposition or any kind of commentary on anything. I just want a buddy while I go about my evening, and I think it's probably getting on for midnight, if not past midnight now. And there's no further ado. It's not like it's that. It's just like, I'm just bummed out, you know. I'm just bummed out. Band-aid on my knee because there's no point fucking bleeding everywhere. It was definitely a good call breaking that glass, like, because I know for sure that if it comes to it, I don't know if it comes to it that I can, cut something and bleed out it quickly, but it might do, it might do if the cops turn up. Like, at least it's there, and at least I know, like, because that craft knife did not work. I mean, it wasn't like I was trying to kill myself with a craft knife, but I was just sort of, like, interested in seeing if I could draw blood, and I couldn't, which was really surprising. So it seems funny that I'm kind of, like, stepping carefully, but, like, I genuinely can't see any, there's no, and I love that glass too, this is part of the thing, and, like, I love my things, and I had sort of misplaced these lovely little almost globe, like, little tumblers, in Wellington, or they're broken or whatever, and I found these ones at the op shop, and I was like, my God, these are like them or even better. But I dropped that on the ground to break it, and I think I'm just showing myself that it's over now, and that my treasured possessions don't belong to anybody anymore. Because only alive people can have things. And I can't fathom being a ghost who would haunt where would I haunt? I don't have a home to haunt. And that's maybe I'd haunt a person. I don't know. But I don't want to have a bummer. I just want a companion. And I can't be, I did try to talk to my ring ham, but I don't know how much my ring ham really picked up. I was saying to it, it's like talking to like a foreign backpacker. Like, I don't know how much English you know, and I have to like gesture and, you know, like, and this phone and the other phone, like, they're just like nothing's working. And it's just sort of like a little bit symbolic of just everything like abandoning me, really. I mean, I don't have a friend, and I haven't had a friend for a very, very long time. And there were a couple of neighbour girls, and they were going to come with me to court tomorrow. But I knew better than to really count on them. Of course, they're not going to come with me. I'm not. I assume that everybody knows by now, like, I'm not just throwing a pity party. It's just like I can't. There's just nothing for me to survive on. I can't live on arid land. And I'm not. So, little wake up something. I've got a sinus infection, I think. I think I've had a sinus infection for a long time, and it's a lot of little things like that, you know, that bring me back into my body and bring me back into my sense of well, it doesn't seem right to say my sense of self-worth, because it doesn't make me feel more important. I'm trying to say something a bit different. I'm just trying to say something that just those mundane things, like having like something like a sinus infection, because my ear's been blocked for a long time and my nose has been running and stuff for such a long time, and it brings me into a sort of a reality that just shows how mundane human deprivation is. And the first time I ever thought about that was when it was an advertisement that I've got to find my tissues. I've always got 3 packets of tissues in a tiny room because I always need a tissue because my nose is always running. And of course now it's just like, you know, my tears and my tear ducts. But it's the mundane little deprivations that really drive home how unimportant a person is.
Or to put it in a more humanitarian way, how some people see the little things that people are missing out on is symbolic of their greater need. And it was about, and it's an ad that was running. Well, I don't know, I'm too old now. I don't mean I'm too old. It's a good age to die, to be honest. But it ran for a little while. It was just about how, and it wasn't just a marketing thing, it was like some kind of collaboration between Vaseline and a very well-known humanitarian charity. And it was just about somehow consumers being able to donate little tubs of like just Vaseline, normal Vaseline to people, because, cracks, dry skin can just be so horrible, and I've had that, and I especially understand, and I splashed out and I bought some of this papaya pawpaw, stuff to try and soothe my skin, and I have used Vaseline before, but I was a little bit worried about it being flammable, but I don't want to digress. It's just that you think of these little things. When you're not deprived, you just think, you don't even think about, when something's really dry and it opens a fissure because there's no suppleness to hold your skin together, and it opens a fissure and then you can get an infection, and I've had that before, and it just goes on a roller coaster, really. It's just one of those little things, and I've often, if I've been at hospital or something, or, stayed at someone's house, or, I don't know, just something, and I just say, have you got some moisturiser, because just not having any moisturiser is really, really uncomfortable, and, the body needs a lot of TLC. It doesn't take much to survive, but it takes a lot to be comfortable. I don't know why my GP hasn't helped me with my physical illness. I think that I need to lead the way, but I'm not able to do that. And nobody's going to. And I want to give myself love. I don't hate myself. I don't. I hold myself to standards. And and certainly a pretty harsh taskmistress, but I'm really careful to praise myself when I do the right thing. I'm not one of those people who hates myself. I don't hate myself and want to die. I have complicated feelings about myself and I don't want to die. But I also didn't want to do dialysis because it really hurt. It was so agonizing. But if I didn't do dialysis, it would be much worse. The drain out pain was so intense. Like, I really went into shock one time. It was so incredible. The pain was just like nothing I'd experienced, and I had picked up this belief somewhere, and I think it was from my dad. And he must have been trying to just comfort me about something awful I saw on TV, because it's not true. At least not true in any way that would just reassure anybody that I think it was about you being alive or something. He said at a certain point you can't feel anything. But I can tell you, you can feel a hell of a lot. You can feel a hell of a lot. I've never passed out from pain, and I've felt a lot of pain, a lot of physical pain. I've had a lot of surgeries, and people used to tell me you've had quite a hard run of things, haven't you, Caitlin? When I was about 30 or so, and I thought, what do you mean? I don't think so. I'm not sure what you mean. And they said, well, it must be really hard having a transplant and spending so much time in hospital, and I understood. I said, oh, I know what you're saying, but I didn't really. I mean, I'm not being like a tough guy about it. I just didn't suffer very much, I didn't. I talked to one of the. Well, she wasn't actually a dialysis person. She was a transplant coordinator, kind of. She was at that crossroads, like it's when your kidneys, it's just like when they're kind of going, okay, well, we're not going to try and save your kidneys anymore. Now we're going to look at, like, what do we do next? And so when you go on the transplant list, you also go on dialysis at the same time, which makes sense. So you have these two sets of coordinators. And I think it was like one of the coordinators, but she was sort of like a overarching coordinator, not for either side. So it was very, I had a very brief connection with her. I can't remember what her name is, but I feel like it was Andrea or something. I think it was Andrea. Andrea sounds right. And I explained, and she was the first person who, even in the, not industry, but in the department, who was saying, like, I didn't suffer much till the very, end. Because, end stage renal failure is, if you get to end stage cancer, well, you're dying. But if you get to end stage renal failure, you get the next step of your life going, you know. And I said to her, I really did not feel very nauseated. I never stopped peeing, so I never had to go on a fluid restriction, which would be no good for me because I'm all about fluids. The dietitian's always like, damn, you're drinking so much. And I'm like, yeah, well, go cry to your mama. You know, like I drink a lot of fluid, like whatever it is, it's fluid. I was never on a fluid restriction because I never stopped peeing. Try to stop me peeing, which is weird. But I had other problems. I had recurrent anemia, which I got quite annoyed with the department for not keeping an eye on, because once you get anemic, because anemia is very complicated, and I learned how complicated it was when I decided to do a fucking writing assignment on it for a grammar for writers course I did. I thought, I'll just pick this topic and I'll write about anemia. And it's just like, fuck, I ended up just becoming a doctor, basically, a haematologist instead. But it was so agonising. It's just like, oh my god, when is there an end point to learning about anemia, to the point where you can just like go, okay, I think this is enough? Like, there is no end point. Like, you just get more and more like involved in different kinds of anemia. Like, even sickle cells got like it's like one of those hierarchy fucking charts, but more like a family tree, where it's like, oh, these aren't distinct anemias, they're all, and they, oh my god, it was a fucking nightmare. It's just like, oh my god, I'm going to go back to fucking water science because it's going to be easier. And it's just like, no, water science is just, it was just fucking nightmare. But anyway, anemia. So I had anemia, which everyone thinks of as being iron deficiency. But no, you have iron deficiency anemia, but that's not the only cause. I had loads of iron. I had iron fucking packed to the rafters, but I didn't have any erythropoietin, which is the hormone that converts the iron into oxygenated into red blood cells, which then carries the oxygen to your limbs and stuff, and so, you know, all of your cells and stuff like that. I mean, it's very, very complicated, but yeah, so I get anemic, and by the time anyone would catch on, I'd be like, I'm so tired and I'm fucking crying every day because I feel really depressed, and I'm depressed because I'm anemic. It's just the effect on me, like not having energy makes me sad. I'd cry every day, and I was at university, I was so close to pulling out on my final year. And I was doing a double major, and I was just like, fucking, I have to quit, I have to quit before exams, I can't do this. I was cleaning houses, I was babysitting, and I was doing a writing job, and I was just like, I've got to stop. And I just sit in bed in the morning, and I just drink a Red Bull, and I wish Red Bull would do this to me these days, but I would just feel that life pouring into me. It's like, if you've seen any of those old Disney cartoons where, well, you know, like, let's be specific. There was one Disney cartoon where they all went on a skiing holiday, and Pluto he fell off into some snow and he got all frozen, and then there was a Saint Bernard with a barrel of rum around its neck. Back when they used to think that alcohol warmed you up, it doesn't. But, we all know the mythology, so we'll just go with it. We'll go with it. It was suspended. My dad, Ivan, he taught me the concept of suspension of disbelief. We're not going to worry about the fact that this isn't real. We're just going to go with it, because if we don't, we're just going to ruin the fucking fun, right? We're going to ruin the fun. And we were both Disney fans, and he
he was a very discerning man. We walked we walked out of the Beverly Hillbillies because it was shit. We nearly walked out of Alien 3, but we used to watch Alien and Aliens a lot, and we used to watch Blade Runner a lot, and we watched a lot of early Disney, and we watched a lot of Fraggle Rock, and of course, as obviously, we watched The Deer Hunter, which was why I was the only kid in like Form 1 who knew what Russian roulette was and why. And just about my earlier email to fucking all and sundry, yeah, it turns out there's like 9-chamber revolvers they Glock. Huh, who knew? I didn't know that. And I'm like, are those like chambers, are they external? Like in my head I'm thinking, have the balls dropped? And it's like, yeah, supposedly they are. You can spin, you can do roulette. Crazy shit. But anyway, like, it was back when, like, that scene, that fucking scene where, I've talked about this before, but, oh my God, like, I don't rate De Niro, but now, like, I don't need to see Raging Bull, I don't need to see Taxi Driver, I don't need to see the whole cat nipple milking thing to see what a great actor he is. Like, fuck, man, like, him and Christopher Walken in that scene. And I don't know, like, I don't know chemistry, I don't know from chemistry, I don't know, like, I haven't watched the whole movie again, and maybe another life I will do that. I don't think it's a movie that would behoove me to see, but I watched that scene because that's really the only scene that I remember from a kid, is the roulette scene. And I was surprised how bloodless the actual blowing the brains out bit was. I mean, when I say bloodless, there was a whole lot of blood, but it was not gory. And I was so with Mickey. It's like, oh wow, like, all of his facials were just like, I'm not even going to try to explain to you. And De Niro's character, think of the fucking meadow or fucking whatever it was. I guess thinking back home on the farm or something, whatever it was just like, Christopher Walken was just, those fucking micro expressions, because he was just blank, and he was almost just serene. But he would react in these tiny little ways to the utterly irrelevant shit that De Niro's character was telling him. And De Niro had no idea what he was saying was so wrong, so fucking wrong. It's like, you've got no idea. Got no idea. And all Mickey had, the best way that Mickey had to explain was taking the last bullet in the chamber without a second thought, because that's all that was left available to him. There was no life. I'm sure he was precious. But life didn't make any room. And I don't think life needs to make any room for me. Why should it? But I fucking tell you what, nobody gets to tell Mickey and me what our lives mean and where they fit, because they don't fit anywhere. There's nowhere. And every single one of you is making sure of that. And the exceptions to those, I've named you. I don't know if I'm going to die tonight. I have not had very much success so far. But every bit counts, and I live and I learn. And I want to, for no reason in particular, give credit to Johan at Fresh Choice and Tracy at Super Liquor. And there's loads of other people in the neighbourhood. But I'm not trying to, I'm not like gonna go, oh my god, when do I start inviting people to the wedding? I just want to like name those two people, Johan at Fresh Choice and Tracy at Super Liquor. Oh, and Caroline Register at Homewood.